Hi, I'm Julian Esposito, the creative director within OMD Create in London. And today I'm going to be talking about creative production during COVID-19 and the challenges that I think that we can all relate to and trying to overcome during this pandemic, and how we could obviously help our clients move forward and still produce some very engaging content that will resonate with our audiences. So with any brief comes challenges, but with COVID-19 comes a set of new challenges that apply to any brief that comes through our door. We see this kind of in five main areas. Limited assets. Obviously, we can't shoot any new content. We are unable to go outside because obviously we're adhering to social distancing, and we have to obviously protect ourselves as well as protecting our fantastic health network, the NHS. We're also working in a forever changing landscape. I'm sure I am not the only one who is forever being inundated with emails, as well as watching the news as we extend the lockdown period, what we can do and can't do in terms of engaging with other people, which then itself affects timings and, of course, what we can actually do in terms of creating and producing content. We have solo production teams. Again, I'm sure as I speak to you all, we can all relate to this as well, as we all safely work from the confinements of our homes. Once where we would obviously bring multiple disciplines together, we're now very much sitting in the confines of our homes by ourselves. And we need to look at the challenges that comes with solo production teams and how we can actually still produce the work that we want to produce for our clients. And of course, but by no means least, is staggered feedback with a new set of parameters around COVID-19 and the challenges that the first 4 points cover. It is by no surprise that we do have a staggered feedback approach from clients and also from third parties that we might work with as well. And we need to obviously take that on board when we're actually trying to produce the content and push that content back out. So those are the five key areas that we have established and we try to address as we move forward within the COVID-19 environment. But we are finding solutions. Part of the reason why I love this industry is that we are problem solvers. And with these challenges, we need to find new ways to overcome them. So in the first instance, we're looking at utilizing animation to bring creative to life. This can obviously be through 2D animation all the way through to CGI. We have amazing production studios, not just in-house, but also we work with third-party contractors as well to kind of push on the boundaries of what we can do within that space as well. Working with influencers to shoot content. Once where obviously we would work with influencers to probably engage with a wider audience, they can also actually become a hub of content creators as well. And we'll be looking about how we've been within OMD looking and to lean upon our influencers to help us create content that we can obviously utilize as well. Thirdly, ensuring we're able to adapt for platforms. It's by no surprise that as consumer habits have changed, and probably more so than ever before in the last 5 weeks, we've seen the emergence of platforms such as TikTok. Obviously, it was rather big within the Asian market, but we've seen an explosion of force from TikTok in the last few weeks within Europe, but of course against all other formats such as Snapchat and Facebook, as dwell time on mobile phones has obviously increased. We've also got to be open channels across Teams and WebEx, just two examples that I've just put in here. But again, just going to talk a little bit more detail about how we've been utilizing those platforms, not just from an internal point of view, but an external point of view as well, to talk to clients and to ensure that we can obviously engage with clients and get the feedback that we need and obviously put that into the work and then produce the final product. And then lastly, as I was mentioning before, it's all about being agile to climate demands. As I talked about before, we know that this landscape is forever changing. We don't know what the next day may be bringing. So we need to be able to be agile to help our clients navigate through these challenging times and still produce some fantastic work that would obviously resonate with our audience to speak to. So, as I mentioned, we're already applying this to our work. I'm going to kind of like showcase or talk to, should I say, some of the tools that we're using in the production work. The production work is very much still in production, and when that comes to fruition, I will be obviously pushing that through out on my social channels, such as Twitter, of course, through the OMD EMEA website and the OMD Create website channels as well, just to showcase the work that we've been able to produce through this time. But again, today we're very much talking about how we're using some of the tools to our disposal to produce this work. So as I said before, we talked about utilizing animation CGI. How do we take away from some of the imagery that we were able to capture pre-COVID-19 and produce some stunning visuals and animations that we could obviously engage with our audiences through social platforms such as Instagram stories, Snapchat and TikTok. So in this case here, on the left-hand side, we have our array of static imagery, our lovely Selena Gomez showcasing the latest Puma trainers. We've also got a close-up with that, again, beautifully crafted, but we want to be able to take that to the next level. We obviously now can't be able to go onto a shoot, but alas, through the production of the team in-house, we're able to create some shiny new animations. So I'll just let these two examples play out here for a second. And hopefully that gives you a taste of how we can overcome the challenges of only being available to very static imagery, but obviously be able to leverage that and take it to the next level. Of course, we want to make sure that it's on brand. Of course, we want to make sure that it's eye-catching and poppy and reflects the core brand, in this case, Foot Locker and Puma, and adheres to those brand qualities that they're known for. We talked on the upfront about working for influencers. So just 3 areas I'm going to talk about just very briefly here about how we're using them in a slightly different way from before. Influencers, of course, are key into obviously building out how we engage with our audience through different channels as well. But they've come really into their own in the last few weeks as well. So in the first instance, we've got Michaela. I think I probably butchered that name, so apologies in advance. But obviously, we can actually use a CGI influencer and her wealth of actual users about how we can actually engage with our audience. In this instance here, this is very applicable to the travel and tourism industry. Of course, we're in lockdown. We don't want to promote the aspect of actually traveling, but we could be potentially ahead of the curve. So when restrictions start to come down, when travel is allowed to presume to go back into action, when we're allowed to jump back on planes and start to go on those much needed holidays, we can lean on some of our CGI influencers to transport them to locations probably quicker than some of our influencers as well, ensuring that we adhere to the safety of the travel restrictions that we might have around us as well. So very applicable around the travel and tourism sector. Next off, of course, fashion. We're just talking about, funnily enough, around Puma. In this case here, we've got Super Saf, a tech influencer, but talking around the latest Adidas trainers as well. So, of course, we might not be able to go and shoot the content itself, but again, we can actually talk to influencers about helping us to get the content that we want that then can actually inform to our longer piece video content, whether that's a 15-second spot or a 30-second spot. We can work with the influencers who know the products, who know the brands, who probably worked with the brands before, to help us in turn create the narrative that we want to tell around that product. And lastly, we've got Aaron Kraskell, someone that we've worked with in OMD Create on numerous occasions, especially around the Walkers brand as well. And talking to him, who knows the brand so well and is a huge champion of the brand. But now we obviously work with him to obviously champion that in different ways. So most recently, we actually built out an AR filter through Instagram, something that he just took to heart and absolutely loved. But again, we can talk to him about how we can shoot additional content that we can leverage because he knows the brand, that we can also know that we can rely on him to actually bring that content to life, how we envision to tell that story for the Walkers brand. So just a snapshot again about how we're changing how our approach with working some of those influencers in different sectors to tell the story that we want to tell for the brand. On to the next one, we're talking about ensuring we are adapting to platforms. So in the upfront, we talked about the emergence of TikTok, or the growing presence of TikTok. Obviously, it's been in the marketplace for a while, but we've really seen that kind of flourish in the last few months. And we've actually seen the daily active users have grown 30% since the 1st of January of this year. Obviously, a huge leap in the last few months. And we've seen how people have been really kind of utilizing that platform. Challenges obviously spring to mind when you think of TikTok. People obviously mimicking songs, people obviously championing each other to try and do one better. It's a great way for brands to move into that space and talk to a somewhat younger audience, but broader audience as this audience on TikTok grows out. Of course, let's not forget our friends at Snapchat. Time spent on that platform, especially within lenses, has gone up by 25%. And I think this is very important to actually call out here. People might go, okay, engagement, that's kind of interesting, but what's that got to do with production and creativity? Well, the lenses would give you the sense that people are looking for a sense of escapism. They want a sense of fun. And brands have that opportunity of putting their product within that space, building out a lens and finding a fun way to actually engage with that consumer base as well. And lenses have actually been very much championing that aspect over the last couple of months as well. So a very interesting space to be watching during this time. And of course, Instagram and Instagram live streams have doubled over the past 2 weeks. Let's not forget that people are trying to inspire other people, whether it's baking, dare I say, banana bread for the millionth time, or again, like TikTok, but moving those TikTok dance challenges over to Instagram Live, or just finding ways to entertain children. There is a lot of stay-at-home parents who are obviously trying to juggle a full-time job as well as minding their children as well. So live streaming on Instagram has really come into its own, as well as gaming for that matter as well. People are finding a new way to stream their gaming onto the platform to broaden out their audience as well. Again, it's an opportunity for brands to be storytelling across 3 very engaging platforms, anywhere from challenges to build out awareness, for engagement and entertainment through Snapchat, and obviously to share anything from cooking to e-gaming within Instagram Live as well. So again, 3 very, very interesting areas that we've been looking at with some of our clients within OMD Create to live on and build out those platforms. Next is all about open channels across Teams and WebEx. So we've had to obviously, over the course, pretty much overnight, move the creative industry, which I think, again, hopefully you could all agree, is a very collaborative way of working. It's bringing various different skill sets together, from account managers to copywriters to art directors to production managers and so forth. And of course, as I mentioned on the upfront, we've now siloed those, and now we need to find ways of actually bringing the creative agency way of working back together, which is a very collaborative way of working. And we're utilizing these tools to the best of their ability to really kind of recreate the working environment online and understanding the restrictions that each of them have, so we don't feel like we're checking mobile phones and emails and laptops every 2 seconds. We want to kind of like ensure that we use the tools to the best abilities for when we know that suits them best. So in this case here, we've kind of like utilized 3, which is Teams, WebEx, and WhatsApp. So starting with the one on the left, Teams is all about creative collaboration with clients. So that might be a kickoff call with a client to really understand the brief, understand the challenge at home, talk about some initial insight that might be led from the strategy, gain their thoughts. It's all about that kickoff session with the clients recreated in Teams. It's where a deck could obviously be presented, but we can actually start to talk, obviously just not by video chat, but actually share some initial ideas through the channels itself as we just type and share some other aspects as well. So a very kind of like more softer collaborative system that you tend to have got within the workplace. WebEx kind of moves that into the more formal, that client presentation element as well. That's obviously kind of like almost going into the boardroom to present those initial creative routes that hopefully the client gets really excited about when you've actually worked that up. And we see WebEx as that kind of platform to allow us to do that. And lastly, WhatsApp. That might seem a bit of a given, but within OMD Create, our entire team sits and has its own dedicated channel on there. It gives us an opportunity that if people are working in another area of the room, maybe even outside, we don't want to pester people all the time, but it ensures that we can obviously just share those quick little sound bites. They might have a quick question that somebody wants to ask, put it back out to the team, and we're able to do that. It almost works as those kind of like water cooler moments that you might have in all those I want to go for a quick coffee and a chat moments that we've recreated from our formal working area now into our COVID-19 online working environment as well. Of course, worth calling out Zoom. Obviously, it has absolutely exploded in the last few weeks. For us at OMD, this is not a platform that we use with clients or internally for that matter. This is very much your online pub quiz at the end of the working day, and that's where we see that platform as well. We very much tier to the safety of the Teams, the WebEx, and the WhatsApp for collaborating with our clients and ourselves to share work and to work together. While Zoom, we feel that is a platform that we would use to obviously talk to mates and actually enjoy, well, to the best of our abilities, that new social norm that obviously has built out over the last few weeks itself. And then lastly, I talked about before, with a changing landscape comes with its own set of challenges in actually how to build out a time frame and how we can obviously be agile to the client need as well. The top image of there, a quick screen grab. I'm sure a lot of us will be familiar with a timing plan. Lydia, who obviously heads that up within OMD Create, does a fantastic job in ensuring that we can deliver our work all the way from initial ideation to full completion. But we've now had to bolt in some additional considerations as we move forward. These we've really highlighted in 4 key areas: stay-at-home teachers, slow download speeds, conference call overload, and tighter approval processes. In the first instance, stay-at-home teachers, these are everyday heroes. They've got a job to do as well as look after 2 kids who might be in the midst of schooling, and we know that can be challenging, especially if you've got multiple children that need to be entertained and both parents are working. You might be a single parent for that matter as well. We try to accommodate that into our timings as well to really understand not just what the clients need are, but the people who actually make up that team and ensure that we put that into the timings itself. Slow download speeds. Hopefully, when you're actually listening to this and watching this, you're not affected by this, but I'm sure we all have at some point as well. We try to ensure that we build this into timelines, everything from downloading content overnight to make sure that our production team, animators or studio are able to get access to that when they work stuff up from home. But we also know that we need to ensure that we plan out for the slow download speed as well. So we bolt those into the timings as well. Conference call overload. Again, I'm sure we've all been affected by that. Could also been affected by the one that I just talked about, by slow download speeds as well. We want to ensure that we have backup plans. We want to ensure that if we have a conference call and it isn't going quite according to plan in terms of bandwidth, or people aren't able to join, that we can obviously ensure that we can follow that up with hopefully another conference call, or we can send over a PDF or a PowerPoint with talking points to that as well. We obviously want to kind of like give clients the best possible experience walking them through, and of course sometimes we're limited to the outside world around that as well. But ensuring that we have time in there, again, gives us all reassurance that we can deliver and get the feedback necessary from the client to obviously feed back into the creative production. And of course, lastly, tighter approval process. So all these things funnel into this as well. We want to ensure that every I and every I is dotted, every T is crossed, sorry, to use the analogy correctly there as well. So we do go through things in very, very, very fine detail to ensure that not only when we talk to clients, we're capsulating the notes taken in that moment, we follow up and we follow up again, which might sound overkill, but it ensures that we're never dropping the ball along the process as well. We, again, as we talked about, by ensuring that we counter for these three aspects of the front, as well as the normal aspects when it goes into a timeline when we're producing content. And it ensures that when we get to the final stages just before delivery, that we know that we are going to be in a good place and deliver that work within the time frame that we had outlined at the very beginning of production. So that is me. Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully it's given you a little bit of food for thought when you're thinking about creative production within COVID-19 and the challenges that we're all facing and trying to overcome during this time. Again, I do see this industry as people who can really take these challenges on. We are problem solvers. We see these as a new set of challenges that we have to deal with. And we still obviously want to be producing fantastic work that in due course, I'm be very excited to share with you guys through, as I mentioned, through Twitter handles. Obviously, check out the OMD EMEA website as well as OMD Create. We'll be publishing that work as and when it is signed off and it goes live for our clients. That is me. Thank you very much.